Hey everybody, welcome to Fandomly Speaking,
where each week we speak randomly about fandoms. I'm Liza.
I'm Melissa, and this week we're going to talk about vampires.
And if you haven't watched everything we talk about, there could be spoilers, so just be aware. We're going to be talking about everything that we know about vampires.
And then along the way, we're probably going to have conversations that have to do with mental health, maturing as a woman. So there'll be talk about the pause, menopause, hot flashes, brain fog, bone density.
Do vampires get menopause? Wait a minute.
No, they don't.
Come on.
And also will be kind of everything that we talk about is going through the lens of our own neurodivergent brains. Mm-hmm. So you'll just, hopefully it makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, sorry.
It probably doesn't make sense to us either, but...
No, but we're trying. We're trying. Yeah. So before we start talking about vampires, let's just check in this week. What'd you do this week, Liza?
Well, you said before we start talking about vampires, but last week when we spoke, I had homework to do this week.
You did.
We discovered I'd never watched Vampire Diaries somehow, and so I was going to watch some of that before this podcast. So I spent most of this week immersed in vampires anyway. Last week I also was devastated to learn that I had like 4 or 5 more books in the Brandon Sanderson series I was reading. So in order to console myself, I started reading a standalone called Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which is really fun.
Okay, that's good. Sometimes you need to like a palate cleanse for a little while. I don't think I have it in me. So I devoured Sunrise on the Reaping in like 2 days.
Did you read it? Yeah. I have it still to read. I have not reached it yet. So.
Yeah. So I finished Lost last night.
Last night,
yeah. I can watch, because I watch stuff that I've seen before. I will watch it in the background while I'm like working or editing or whatever. And then
were you any closer to figuring out Lost's final episode than the rest of us were?
I felt better about it this time, and this is either my 3rd or 4th time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I think I almost get it.
I feel like that's hilarious to me.
So close.
After 4 watches, I'm almost there, man.
I was listening so hard in that last little bit where Christian and Jack are talking in the back of the church, and I'm just like, okay, listen really hard, because I think Christian is explaining it. And then I'm like, but I still don't really understand the sideways. So when we get to the episode about Lost, I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
And then yesterday, so that you didn't have to suffer the first several episodes of the Vampire Diaries alone, I started my Vampire Diaries rewatch.
That's amazing.
And I have to tell you, my husband did the cutest thing ever. We're really old, so we eat dinner in front of the television. And sometimes we're actually just reading, but we're sitting in our recliners because they're comfortable and we're old. So I was watching the Vampire Diaries, and I had said when he came home from work, I was like, it's the Vampire Diaries again, because we're going to talk about vampires tomorrow on the podcast. So then as he like gives me my dinner, and then he leaves the room and he's going upstairs to his office. And I was like, oh, you're taking dinner upstairs? And he's like... well, no, I'm going to let you keep working, and I'm going to go.
Aww. And yes, that's exactly right.
The fact that watching the Vampire Diaries is now working.
Yeah, correct.
So before we do dive into my amazing list of talking points, I do want to acknowledge that L.J. Smith died yesterday.
Yeah.
She was only 66 years old.
And she wrote, who doesn't know, she wrote the Vampire Diaries.
I was like stunned. I was like, wow, that's just like the weirdest coincidence. And also she was way too young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
66 is young, by the way.
This is not an exaggeration. This actually happened in exactly this way. I was watching an episode of the Vampire Diaries. I was on my exercise bike. The credits had just come up and it had a little blurb. It said, based on the books by L.J. Smith. And I was like, well, that's the first time I've seen that. I'm going to look them up. Within minutes, Melissa texted me, oh my God, L.J. Smith died. I was like, I got goosebumps. That's so strange. But we do want to give condolences to L.J. Smith's family.
Yes,
and
that is
everyone close to her.
Yeah, 66 is young, man. So, it is. And you know where I found out, actually? It was on the Anne Rice Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because her son Christopher posted. And apparently Anne was a big fan of LJ's work, which was obviously inspired by Anne Rice. And I think it was beautiful that in LJ's life, she got to know that Anne Rice liked what she was doing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So we tried to compile a list of all of the vampire stuff that we both like.
We did. It's a strange list.
It's a strange list. And then I actually asked about TV shows because I felt like there should be more.
Too. Me too.
I really did. And there weren't.
So when you asked me about like...
We're both like...
When you asked me about like the stuff I was looking, I was trying to compile a list, and I did the same thing. I went to ChatGPT, and then there's a lot of just wiki pages and stuff of all the vampire media out there. And I'm like, vampire media is such a huge part of all my nerdiness, and there just wasn't nearly as much as I thought on my list. I mean, there just wasn't nearly as much. I thought there were so many TV shows I'd watched and so many books that I'd read.
I felt like there were a lot more books.
Yeah.
I really did. I'm kind of confused. So wait, I have our list. Do you want to read off the books? Can you see your list?
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, look, there's Dr. Squish. You just went into the Google Doc. It's like Dr. Squish's.
There I am. I'm in here.
She's in here.
So obviously we've both read Twilight. And you thought it was funny that I separated Midnight Sun.
It's like that's a separate
That is not the same thing.
No, it really and I actually kind of really liked that a lot more.
Yeah, it's not the same thing at all. It's totally different.
Totally different.
You have read True Blood. Now, you have it highlighted, but I haven't actually read True Blood. Just watched the show.
Yeah, so they were the Sookie Stackhouse novels, and then True Blood is based off them kind of loosely. It gets a little bit away from the books, but not in a bad way, and I really enjoy the show, and I love the books. They're one of my comfort things.
The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. I have read the Blood and Ash series, which is not a vampire series, but there's vampires in it.
Okay.
We've both read Dracula, Bram Stoker's.
Oh, I put them on there twice. Sorry.
You know, it's okay. I've read Salem's Lot. You have not read Salem's Lot?
So Salem's Lot is another one of those things that maybe I read in high school, but I wasn't 100% sure.
From I think in the 70s he wrote that one.
Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe junior high then for me. Okay.
Yeah. City of Bones series, that is a YA series about teenagers and vampires again.
Oh,
the Blood of Eden series is actually a really good one. It's a dystopian vampire series.
Oh, okay.
Teenage Girl by Julie Kagawa. We read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I will be honest. You really? I really had problems with it. I had so many problems with that book. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's set in the 90s, right? 90s Southern ladies group.
Yeah.
And I am a 90s Southern kid.
Okay.
I grew up in the 90s. These women were like my mother. This was her friend group, her church group. And I think a man wrote this book. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the way he wrote these women, I had such a problem with. It was just huge. The way they were gaslit, the way they weren't listened to, the way they were... I just had such real issues with the way.
So that was not your experience, because I was just assuming that life was very different for Southern women then.
No, it was my experience. That's the problem. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was an issue with the way these women were treated and the way they were done. It really felt gross to me. I liked the concept of what it was about, but God, those characters, I was like, We both read Discovery of Witches.
Yep.
Which is not necessarily only about vampires.
Yeah.
I've read Dr. Sleep. You have read The Historian, Undead and Unwed series. What's that one?
It's a really cheesy chick lit vampire series.
Well,
and it's really very cute, tongue in cheek. That's another one that's like candy. You just sort of read it. It has no. Yeah. Okay.
You got Pulling Up Stakes.
Pulling Up Stakes was, what the heck is his name? Something David. And it was in my Kindle. I remember it being maybe urban vampires, but I went through my Kindle to find all the books on vampires, and I thought there would be a lot more. And that's why Dracula's there again.
It's so strange. Nice Girls Don't Have Fangs.
I highly recommend that series.
I will be going through your list and reading all the books.
Yes, and I need to catch up on yours. Yeah.
I don't know that you do. Just because I've read them doesn't mean they're good.
Just because I read them doesn't mean they're good.
Okay, then we moved on to movies, and I found out that Melissa's going to have a confession in the midst of this movie reading. Her
really
shame. We have like a shame confession at every podcast. So Interview with the Vampire movies, the Bram Stoker's, which I watched at 12 years old after I had read it at 12 years old.
And that movie is just, oh my God, there's so much wrong with it. I love Keanu Reeves. I will watch Keanu do anything.
Except that accent.
He's so, yes, that's what makes it so bad. And he's trying to be so earnest. And he really took that role seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
And he's like going toe to toe with Gary Oldman, and he really tried.
Oh yeah.
Bless his heart.
The Lost Boys.
Oh, love the Lost Boys.
Love the Lost Boys. It's like the first. I think that's like the first vampire for everybody, at least for Gen X.
I had some before the Lost Boys, but the Lost Boys was really cool because it was so 80s. It was Gen X.
It really was. And I like that they haven't redone that into garbage.
Oh, thank God. Please don't. Don't anybody get any ideas.
I probably shouldn't have put that out into the atmosphere.
No.
The whole Twilight series, we could probably have 3 shows on that alone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What? So I'm actually surprised you haven't watched What We Do in the Shadows.
No, and I haven't watched the TV show either.
I haven't watched the TV show, but I actually watched the film again this week because it is one of the top 10 funniest films I have ever seen in my entire life.
Okay, now I got to watch it this weekend. Yeah.
And it's really a short movie. It's only like an hour. It's not much longer.
Really?
It's hilarious. Do you know what it's about?
No.
It's a mockumentary about vampires of different genres of vampire living in a house in New Zealand together.
Okay, I gotta watch.
And it's got the 8,000-year-old Nosferatu vampire living with the Vlad the Impaler type, living with a dandy Victorian type, and they're all they go out to bars and they're talking about who's going to do the laundry this week, and it's like mockumentary style. And it has me cackling from like the first 5 seconds through the whole thing. That movie's hilarious. And I don't know why I haven't watched the series, because I think the series...
Yeah, I've had the series recommended to me too, and I don't know, just like Ghosts, everybody's like, you have to watch Ghosts, the UK version. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll get to it. But then let me watch Lost again.
Yeah.
I don't know what's with me.
All right, so tell them your shame.
Okay, here is my shame. So on the TV list, of course, the first thing we both put is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
But I've never seen the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie ever in my life. And I don't know why.
Come on, Melissa.
I have a lot of homework, clearly, but I mean, it's a 90-minute movie. I don't know what holds me back.
It's like quintessential 90s camp, that movie is. And it was such a fun movie. That's why we have the series.
Yeah.
Because everyone loved Christy Swanson and loved her character. It's not like you're going to be amazed how great this movie is. It's just so surprising you haven't seen it at all.
It is. It's one of those weird gaps in my repertoire.
But I'll tell the people, and anybody who's listening or watching will know exactly what I'm going to have you watch. Okay. Because I don't know if you know this, but Paul Rubens was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie.
I did kind of know that, yeah.
He was a vampire. And you can even, if you Google this, it will say best cinematic death scene in any movie. He has the best death scene of any. I still quote this in my family. They're like, please stop.
Oh, now I need to
And so I need you to watch this death.
Here goes.
Okay.
It's coming. Any minute now. Watch 2 Gen X women try to do things that my son has been doing since he was 10 years old. Here goes.
Okay, I'm so excited.
Is that Rutger Hauer?
It is. It is.
You're gonna wish you died. Ooh, ah, ow, ooh, ooh, ah, ah,
Okay. Wow. That was a lot. Usually people turn to dust, or in True Blood, they do the thing where they just go splash and blood goes everywhere. That's a better way to go.
I will still, to this day, I'll be like, and my family's like, could you stop that? Phenomenal acting in that.
Oh, God bless him. Another one we lost too young.
There was Vampires in 98. Are you sure you didn't see that one?
That doesn't even sound familiar.
That's the one that has
look it
James
up.
Woods in it. No?
No,
It
I
was-
don't think
it
so.
was
Wait.
really-
That's not the one in Mexico, is it?
That's from Dusk Till
No.
Dawn, right?
That's Dusk Till Dawn. Never mind. Yeah. Nope.
Blade, Dusk Till Dawn,
Yep.
30 Days of Night.
I haven't seen
You
it.
haven't watched Robo Vampires? Come on, Melissa.
No! I've never even heard of Robo Vampires. What is that? You're just making stuff up now.
One of my biggest fandoms and one of my most obscure fandoms is Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, yes!
And their consequent riff tracks. And so I've watched all the riff tracks and they riffed Robo Vampires. Fright Night and Underworld. And then we did not have as many TV shows as we thought we did.
Because apparently there haven't been as many as we thought. So there's Buffy and Angel. Now, did you watch Angel also?
I have not watched Angel, just Buffy. When it was on TV.
True Blood.
Yeah.
The Vampire Diaries, and then the Vampire Diaries spin-off, the originals, and then I forgot to
I
add
didn't know that that's what
the
that was.
original spin-off called Legacies, which sucked. It sucked with a capital Sucked, but I watched it all. I was determined
You
that
took
I was going to
that for the team.
get through it.
I'm proud of you, Melissa.
I did. So Dark Shadows. So the 90s version, that's the one with, what is his name? Bennett? No. What is his name?
I don't know any of their names. It was only like 12. It was like a mini series.
It really didn't, but the original Dark
the
Shadows.
70s, 60s, 70s.
60s, 70s. I mean, this was a soap opera
Yeah, it was.
about a vampire. And so it's, if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor and go find the original Dark Shadows if you like vampire stuff and like really moody, broody stuff.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, very campy.
Campy,
Because
soap
it's
opera
taking
vibes.
itself so seriously. But it's so stupid. It's so
Yeah,
stupid.
we had to include Supernatural because there's lots of vampires in there.
There's lots of vampires, yeah.
And I didn't watch Being Human. Is that on BBC?
Yeah, and I've only seen the UK version. I started trying to watch the American version, and it because I loved the characters in the UK version so much, I just couldn't, just wasn't
Right.
into it. There's that show on Netflix that I haven't watched, Van Helsing. So,
Yeah, I haven't watched Van Helsing. My husband is huge into anime, so any anime, I've probably watched a lot more vampire anime as well than that, but Helsing's the anime I watch
Another
as well.
embarrassing confession. I don't like anime.
Yeah, but you told me that you don't like to watch things with subtitles, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, we watch
I
all
get
the
very
subtitles.
I get very distracted.
Do you?
I'm easily distracted by the subtitles.
They're probably thinking, that was a lot of stuff, guys, but I don't know. The list seems like it should be longer. I don't know. It just...
So whatever we missed, even if it's anime, I'll try. But yeah, let us know what did we miss on that list? What are your favorites on that list?
Yeah.
We definitely want to hear about that because we feel like there must be more.
There has to be more than that.
There have to be more books. Like I know that there's the Anita Blake books. And those were like maybe early 2000s, late 90s. And I didn't put them on the list because I can't remember if I read any of them or
Well,
not.
I looked up on Goodreads, like all vampire books, and this list is over like 700 books long, but I just hadn't heard of the majority of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what do you think it is? Like, I think I know it from my perspective. So I wrote these questions, so I already know the answers. But for me,
Have
so
the answers to the test.
yes, it's like an open book test, though, really.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Why do we love vampires? Why are you so into vampires?
I don't know if there's like one reason, because one thing we said earlier is that every author has a different take on
Yeah.
vampires, but they're mysterious, they're broody, they're moody, they've lived for ages and ages, but they're still here trying to fit in kind of a vibe.
For me, it's like sort of the lure of immortality a little bit. Like I love stories. Like one of the reasons that I love Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles so much is because she has the concept of the children of the millennia. So
Yeah.
vampires who've been alive for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And that's a concept that is probably horrifying if you're doing it. I mean, she does cover how people do go mad for a while and go underground for centuries because they can't cope with it. But just being able to see how much the world has changed. Like, I would really like to maybe talk to Marius right now, or somebody who's been around for several millennia, and be like, okay, so everything's really effed up right now. Have you in your vast life experience, have you seen it be this fucked up before? And how'd that end?
So bad.
How'd that work out?
Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe we don't want to know. I don't know. I think that too. Like, would you ever want to be a vampire? Absolutely not. Living forever sounds terrible.
I would have to be like a blood bag vampire. Like, I couldn't kill people, but then I would also feel guilty about using blood from a blood bank. So maybe I would have to get the blood that the blood bank rejects, because they do reject a crap ton of blood, by the way.
You've thought so deeply about all.
I really have. But here's my other take on why I relate so much to vampires. Oh. And I think the True Blood TV show did a really great job of kind of capturing what would happen if regular everyday people became vampires. Yeah. Because they're like, okay, this wasn't as awesome as I thought it was going to be. Right. But I think overall, as I psychoanalyze myself, vampires are almost in my head a little analogous to living life as an autistic person, because they have like all of these unique abilities and unique ways of seeing life and all of those things, but they also have some severe disabilities. Like unless you're, and we'll talk about the Vampire Diaries in a second, unless you're in that world, like, you cannot go out in the sun. Right. You know, you can't be around fire. You can't eat food anymore, depending on which universe you're in. Yeah. You're like a person with some really cool superpowers potentially, but you're also hamstrung by the very nature of who you are. Yeah. And that to me feels very relatable, because sometimes I feel like, yes, my super fast working brain is a superpower, but also I trip over it all the time.
Yep. Also, they always fit in. They can fit in with humans, but people know something's different about them.
There's always something off.
Something's not right about that guy. Yeah. So they can't ever kind of meld into society again.
Do you have a favorite vampire? That's a tough question.
My favorite vampire is probably the one. We're getting deep into the Pee-wee lore. Yeah. No. I think that my favorite vampire is the one with the most red flags.
Okay.
I would say, I would answer that question that it's Jasper, but I don't know if my favorite vampire is Jasper or if I just like imprinted on Jackson Rathbone. Get out.
Of all of the people, Jasper was. This is me right now. When you first said it, I was like, "Who the f is Jasper? Is he in one of those shows I didn't watch?" Jasper. I'm not laughing at you.
I think it's probably just Jackson Rathbone that is what I have, and I have conflated the two.
Okay, no, that happens. That happens. Like Josh Holloway and Sawyer for me are like the same person.
That's one and the same person.
Yeah, I can't think of him as anything else.
But have you? How many times have you watched Twilight?
I'm gonna have to watch it with a whole just like other. I have to concentrate on him.
Oh my god. All the red flags, like the Confederate soldier problems and all the other problems. His terrible Southern accent. And it's fantastic. Come on.
It's really good. Oh my god, that's great. Yeah. Oh wow. So mine is a little less obscure, probably.
How is Jasper Hale obscure? Oh my goodness. There's whole fandoms for Jasper.
Jasper. Soup. She says Jasper.
Come on.
I'm gonna have to find like some screen clips of him just to be like, this is Liza's
Yeah, this
favorite
one.
vampire, folks.
With
This hunk of meat right here.
yeah, that one.
Okay.
You have to at least put him side by side with Jackson Rathbone at cons, so
Okay.
people could be like, okay, she's not completely.
So is he one of those people that you met at a con?
I have not.
Okay.
God
Because I know
forbid,
you
I
said
would
people are
be-
much
yeah.
better looking, and yeah, it was like
Yes,
yeah.
he is very good looking. He's a very good looking guy. They all are in Twilight, but
Well, my husband asked me last night, as I was working while watching watching the Vampire Diaries was working, and I know he said it before. He's like, "Are there any ugly vampires?" And I was like, "Well, depending on the lore,
yeah,
but
right.
also
right.
True Blood again." It was like, however you were when you get turned, like if
Right.
somebody turned me right now, this is it. I'm stuck like
Yeah.
this. So it's either like Lestat seems the obvious choice just because first of all there's so much written about him, and also he's got
Yeah.
the whole Brat Prince thing going, and by the way I'm talking about book Lestat, not any movie Lestats. And the TV show, that's what we forgot to put there too. I did start to watch Interview with a Vampire on AMC,
Okay.
and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like I
haven't watched it.
I'm interested. I started to watch it in a period where I was kind of in a depression, and I can't watch dark stuff when I'm depressed.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
show has potential. It's very different, but
I was gonna
has
ask.
potential. But not him
watch
either as Lestat. So Lestat,
Book
or
Lestat.
Book Lestat, or same universe Marius.
Okay, and you've already mentioned
Because
him once. I should have known.
I know. There's something about this Roman aristocrat thing. Like if I could time travel to somewhere, I would probably time travel to sort of that period in Rome of like where Marius and Pandora were. So you had homework. You watched the Vampire Diaries. Before I forget, I do want to tell you, Liza, that, and everyone else, there is an amazing Vampire Diaries podcast called The Doppelgangers Podcast.
Okay.
And they're sisters. And one has watched the Vampire Diaries multiple times, and then her sister had not.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's really, really hysterically funny. They're much younger than us, so it's like a different perspective. But anyway,
Sure.
it's very, very funny. So what'd you think?
I had to get my notes app out to
Yes.
take notes.
Yes.
I only got to watch like 6 or 7 episodes. I watched like one a day or so
Yeah.
for the past week of the first season. And I assume since this is a very long show, the seasons change, as all shows do. So I was only watching the first season.
Yeah.
Just FYI for everybody.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I had no idea what Vampire Diaries was about. Like, no clue. No clue at all.
Yeah.
All I knew was that Ian was in it, and that's it. I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
So when it first started, I was like, Melissa, do you actually have me watching another show or media
CW young
where
adult show.
there's where there's teenagers falling in love with 200-year-old men? You do have me. You do that. So within 5 minutes of the first episode, Bonnie dropped the T slur.
Yes.
I was like,
So much wrong.
excuse me.
So much wrong, especially in that first episode. That first
Yeah, I
episode
had to rewind it. I was like, wait a minute.
Full of and
She
Bonnie
did
is such a nasty, mean girl in that first episode.
Yeah, it was bad. My pearls were clutched. I love that they had running up that hill before Stranger Things did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty cool. And what is with all the Confederacy stuff? What is the obsession with Confederacy stuff in vampire lore?
I'm a northerner, so the Confederacy stuff confuses me anyways.
I'm from the South. It's still strange for me. It's so weird. And then that teacher, I was so happy when he died.
Yes.
That history teacher slash coach was the worst.
Oh my God. He was so bad. Yeah.
But in the first episode, the way that Stefan kept creeping up on her, like, hi. I was laughing so hard every single time she'd turn around. She's like, "Oh my God,
There you are again.
What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
All the weird, being an old lady as I am, and having a teenager, all the sexy teenager stuff icks me out. Like,
Me too.
I'm like, I know how I was a teenager. Of course, I understand, but still, I'm just like, ew. Put your clothes back on.
Yeah.
Stop it. Just spray them with the
And like
cold
being
hose.
alone in your bedroom with a boy. I'm like,
Yeah, like, what are you
no,
How did that
nobody
work,
was
man?
allowed to do that. No. I mean,
So
even Gen
strange.
X, our parents didn't know what was going on, but we sure as hell weren't alone in a bedroom with our boys.
Not in our
so-
own bedroom, no.
Not in our own
certainly
bedroom.
not.
Well, maybe we were in somebody's finished basement, but that's a whole other conversation.
I,
but not in the bedroom.
no, I had completely forgotten what Ian Somerhalder looked like when he wasn't hawking supplements on TikTok Live. Yes, I'll be scrolling and he'll come across live, like selling supplements all the time. He's selling vitamins on TikTok Live. And I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't know. Well, I guess they do the cons. So he and Paul Wesley, they have cons like Supernatural has cons. So they got that going on. They have some sort of brothers bourbon that they're hawking. Okay. So they're really trying. They're really trying to make that money.
I don't know. It'll be that kind of thing where it's like, we got 3 bottles of this left, guys. Who's going to buy these? And you're just like, okay, and whatever.
That's weird.
I didn't understand why there was a sexy car wash with teenagers.
I don't think we would do that anymore. I'm not sure that anybody
did we
ever
do that?
did it. I don't know, because it happened a lot in movies.
Oh, that's true.
But I don't know that
You're
that's
not
reality.
Wrong. That's true. And again, Bonnie dropping the very inappropriate Alzheimer joke. I was like,
oh, God, she's so bad. She's
why
horrible.
did they give her terrible lines? But I also love that they turned her into a pyro. That's fun.
They do. I'm going to tell you, over the next 6 seasons, they do so many things to Bonnie's character. Like it is like whiplash watching her personality completely change.
I liked Bonnie, but they gave her terrible lines.
Oh yeah, no, I do end up loving her character, but she just they really sometimes they do her dirty with her lines. Yeah,
they really did.
Yeah.
And I also loved since I just had gotten up to the part where she's finding out he's a vampire and they're dealing with all that, how they had like perfect, clear, digitized footage from 1953. Like, here he is in 4K from 1953.
There he is. Look, that's what he looked like. It's not grainy at all. You can totally tell it's Stefan Salvatore.
Yeah. And how many times are they going to kill Vicky? That was what I wrote last. Like, how many times did they kill
Poor Vicky.
How many times did they kill poor Vicky?
Poor Vicky. There's
so
a
sorry
character
for
that's
that
going to
child.
come along later that dies more times than Vicky.
Oh my God.
Like so many more times.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so bad.
Yeah. I mean, that show is it's got that, again, that like early 2000s teen, what the heck was going on? Like, did people really talk like that?
I don't think so. But I wasn't a teen at that time, but still.
No. I wrote something down because it made me laugh very hard, but I need to tell you, I need to be honest about why this is not as funny as I thought it was last night.
Oh.
I had taken a gummy. And I'm not talking about a gummy vite, people. And so sometimes I think things are funny that maybe aren't.
And
as
you still
funny.
didn't understand Lost after that?
Well, see, that was why I did it, because seriously,
Maybe that'll help.
really seriously.
Okay.
Maybe
Anyway.
if I'm high, this time I will understand what Christian is talking about at the end of Lost. What is going on? First of all, have you watched the Gilmore Girls?
I have not watched. Now, that's another one that have caught episodes of here and there, not sat and watched the whole thing all the way through.
Okay.
Just episodes, sporadically.
Yeah. I think you would enjoy it. Yeah. But anyway, so Mystic Falls is Stars Hollow.
I saw that you put that
with
in there.
vampires.
Yeah, for sure.
Because every week in this town, there is a Founders Day event, a pep rally, a dance. We're all going to go to the woods and get drunk. We're going to go to the lake and jump in. Like, these people have the most packed calendars of activities, and then there's all these townspeople to whom these activities are sacred.
Yeah. And I don't know where this show was shot. Do you know where it was shot?
I believe it was shot in the Atlanta area or Virginia. I think it was filmed in Atlanta, and it's supposedly taking place in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always assume that these Hollywood types think that that's what small southern towns are like, because that's what media around small southern towns tends to have. All that like, we're gonna have the cherry pie festival. It's like, who?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and like Stars Hollow would be a small New England town. So yeah, I
can see that, Melissa. Your gummy wasn't too strong.
Wasn't too strong. Yeah. I mean, because I was watching it and I suddenly, because they were doing they had done the Founders Day thing. They had done a pep rally, and then I don't know, maybe it was Miss Mystic Falls or something. Like, there's all of these events that are so important to everybody in this town, and I was like, oh my god, yes, it's totally.
I also love that they had like this bar and grill that all the teens hung out at. Like,
yes, yep.
What the heck? I've never heard of that in my life.
No, we didn't. First of all, where do they get the money? Because none of them work. Matt Donovan is the only one who has a freaking job.
And none of them
have a job.
Sadly, none of their parents were anywhere to be seen.
Well, you know,
my God.
Elena's parents are dead.
Of course.
But yeah, no, nobody's parents are ever around. And they go, and they have all of this disposable income to go shopping and go out to eat at the grill constantly. The grill. Which is also a bar.
Right, at the bar.
And they can sit at the bar.
And poor Vicky worked at the bar.
I know, poor Vicky.
In the back of the bar.
Well, because the Donovan kids have no money. Right. So Matt and Vicky, they do talk a little bit about their mom later on. I don't know if you got to that yet. But Matt and Vicky are the kids that have to work because they're poor. But everybody else just seems to have money, and I don't know why. Yeah. I mean, Elena, we can try to make an argument that there was like a big insurance payout, but then that would be paying for the house, though. You know, you would still, if both your parents die and your Aunt Jenna's taking care of you, you're going to be on a tight budget.
Yep.
Unless they had multi-million-dollar life insurance policies, which I don't think the Gilberts did.
The only thing that I really got out of my 7 episodes that I was like, I really want to live in the Salvatore house. Yes. I like that house.
I love that nice house. It is. I want to just go sit in that room with the fireplace and the books and the comfy chairs and
yeah. I did like it. So if everybody's wondering, my first 7 episodes or so, I did enjoy it. I don't know how I missed it. It was fun to watch. I recommend you watching it. It's campy.
What are your thoughts on daylight rings?
That was an interesting way to get around that. I still don't get it. Like, I understood, but I don't get it. Like, what do you mean? We ever get a reason why it works?
Yes, we do. Witchcraft. Witchcraft.
Oh, okay.
So, which vampire media do we think has aged the worst?
That's really hard. I mean, I guess everybody's going to have a different answer. I would say collectively, as the world agrees, that Twilight has aged terribly. But Twilight seemed to age terribly very quickly. It wasn't like over years. People quickly turned, and I don't get it, and I'll never get it, because you can't, in my opinion, have this really, really popular media that is a bestseller everywhere all over the world and then say, well, it was terrible. Well, clearly it wasn't. No. Clearly it wasn't terrible. What I think is that anything that young girls tend to like, people all automatically go, well, that's terrible. It's not. Yeah. It wasn't terrible. It's like candy. It's fun. But
yeah, it was Twilight.
It has not aged well.
Nope.
It did not age well. Neither the books nor the movies aged well. No. And when you really start picking it apart, boy, there are problems.
There are big problems. Yeah. There's the whole Jacob Renesmee thing. And then in the movies, that scary as heck Renesmee doll AI CGI creepy baby thing.
What was choice.
It was like the Quiznos meat of babies. It was just.
But I don't even think that aged poorly. That was poorly from the start. That was bad from the beginning. That was just bad.
Oh, it was bad in the movies. Everybody in the movies was like, "Oh God, no! Why?" Yeah,
it was a choice that they made. A bad one, but it was a choice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot that you could go into about why Twilight did not age well. Again, with the whole a 200-year-old man goes, this 17-year-old is perfect for me.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Literally.
The repeated theme of, well, I mean, like the whole A Court of Thorns and Roses situation is, again, he's 500-year-old or 500-year plus old guy, and like 20-year-old girl.
This illiterate 17-year-old is
Yeah.
your
Oh yeah, that's right.
soulmate.
She's younger. She's 17 with
You
the other
weirdo.
girls. Yeah.
What do you mean?
And like,
So
how does
stupid.
she know that this is the perfect person for her to spend eternity with when she's like
she's a kid.
17 or 20 or
We
or-
mentioned Midnight Sun. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you read all this crap from Bella's perspective, I can understand that a 17-year-old is enamored. I get it because I was 17. I understand.
Oh yeah.
Reading it for his perspective, it's like, oh no, it was just creepy from the start. You're just being a creep. Stop it.
Yes.
Cut that out. Get out of her
Midnight
room.
Sun was very
Weirdo.
I mean, when we find out how stalkery he was,
Yes.
it's like, this is more disturbing now that I've read this book.
And if you take it a step further into the fan fiction that spawned 50 Shades, right?
Yes.
Because 50 Shades was spawned from Twilight fan fiction.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. I mean, he's not 500 years old, but he's
No,
this big
he's a
power
billionaire.
imbalance. Huge power imbalance. And then you read his perspective book, and it's the same thing. It's like, no, you were just a creep from the very beginning.
And it happens again, like True Blood. You know, Bill Compton, he goes after Sookie, who is like a lion going after the wounded wildebeest in the herd.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm saying she looks like a wildebeest. I couldn't come up with the name. I couldn't come up with wolf and deer in my head right then. So I'm like, lion and wildebeest.
Lion
sure.
and lamb, yeah.
She was such a target. She was isolated. She had very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
She was working a minimum wage job and working for tips, and financially she was struggling. And again, there's that power imbalance. He sees that and he's like, oh yeah, I want me some of that. And she's like, I can't believe that he's interested in me.
Me.
And like, why is that always the thing? Why isn't the girl ever, you know what? I don't care that you're a vampire and you got $88 billion and you're going to live forever. You're not good enough for me.
In the
Do you have any
vast
other vampire
majority-
friends?
Yeah, in the vast majority of vampire media, it's always a male vampire and a human girl or woman. So there is always a huge power imbalance, which is part of the allure and part of the terribleness of it.
Yeah.
Some of like the one by Julie Kagawa, that one's different because it's the girl that is the vampire. So,
Yeah.
you know, there are some that are different, but far and beyond, it is a weird power imbalance that just makes it terrible when you step way back and look at it. It's like, oh, maybe I should look internally and see what's wrong with me that I love this so much.
I know. What does it say about me? But I think also, and in general, Anne Rice's books have not aged well because of some themes. Like the over-sexualization of children is a big ick factor.
It is.
That to me is kind of the biggest, like, oh God, that is so wrong.
And it's really not right to go, well, it was a different time. It
No.
was. It was a different time when she wrote it. As we're all adults, we can go, well, that's disgusting. But I can tell you when I read those books in my early 20s, that didn't stand out to me because it was the 80s, 90s, and it just didn't stand out. And now you can go back and go, oh boy, that's a problem.
I mean, Blue Lagoon, right? I grew up in the age of Blue Lagoon, which is a movie. It's not about vampires. It was Brooke Shields' movie. And, you know, a teenage brother and sister on a deserted island. Cousins. I'm sorry. Cousins.
they were cousins.
They were still blood relations.
They were.
Yeah. They have a baby. Let's just say that. So that was super ick. Even then.
It was.
Even then, it was super ick. But it was also a huge box office hit.
Yeah, I was going to say, you say it's an ick, but everybody saw that, and it was big like it was a big movie.
Yeah.
Everybody watched that movie.
Everybody watched
Kids
that movie.
We all watched that movie. Gross.
I'm sure some kids learned about the birds and the bees by watching that movie.
Yes.
Top 10 of the week, I didn't plan at all. I forgot to plan. But I think if we go back to our list, if I had to pick my top 5 vampire media things, you know, the Vampire Chronicles, the Sookie Stackhouse books, definitely the books. God, is the Vampire Diaries in my top 5? It might be. I don't know. Wait, there's got to be something else. There's got to be another something. It can't just be that. Twilight, you know, I really enjoyed it. As much as I even, like, Like, my mom and I kind of watched the movies, but we didn't miss any. So,
Yeah.
you know, that was, yeah.
But you and I'm assuming you and I both read it when it came out. Did you read it when it came out?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were caught up in like this Twilight fever, and it was a fever. There is no one that I know who has not read it. Like, I mean, like woman my age. My mother has read it. Best friends, sisters, everyone has read that book.
I shared them with my mom. I was like, oh, you have to read these. Like, and even though she's not,
so you can't be like, oh no, it sucks. No, it didn't. It was great, and we all loved it. So
cultural phenomena, totally. Yeah.
Sure.
And then Lost Boys, loved Lost Boys. And Buffy. Buffy, obviously not the movie, because I have not seen it. But my homework this weekend is to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
And What We Do in the Shadows, the film.
And
Please
What We Do in the
that.
Shadows, yes.
Yeah, that's in one of my top 5 for movies. I love that movie. It's just so... if you want to know what is Liza's sense of humor, that movie is my sense of humor. That's my humor to a T.
Then
so
I'm going to
funny
like it. Yeah. Were there any other that you would say, like, okay, that would be in my top whatever list?
I can't look in here and go...
We're really not good at the top 10.
We aren't.
We didn't
It's too
prepare
many.
very well. Yeah.
And I feel like, though... Besides preparing, I feel like for somebody like me at least, my fandoms are just so spread out. Like, it's just a lot. There's not like one that I fixate on a lot. There's just so many. I love all the things.
Yeah.
I'd be
And there's
excited to see
moments.
and talk about any of these.
Yeah, I know. So even the ones that I haven't seen, I want to hear about them. Tell me about it.
Right.
So we would really love for you to share your favorites. If you want to put your top 5, we can like put together like a little like, okay, this is what people had in their top 5. This got the most votes and stuff like that. If you look in the show notes or down below or wherever things are on wherever you're watching or listening, you can check out our vampire playlist on Spotify.
Yes.
We have a Patreon, so if you would like to have access to some of the backstage nonsense that happens, so we'll be doing stuff like that, and eventually we want to do things like once we have a pretty good group of people together, we'll do some like watch-alongs through Patreon and have some fun with that. Obviously, please subscribe and follow wherever you are checking us out. Leave a review. Leave a nice review.
Yeah, leave a nice review. And also, if you are somewhere where you're commenting, leave us suggestions about your fandoms that you'd like us to check out, maybe things that we can have shows about in the future.
Yeah, we would love that. And then tune in next week. So thank you so much, Liza. It was a pleasure once again.
Yeah,
and we will see you guys or hear you guys next week.
Next time. Awesome.
Yeah, on Fandomly Speaking. Bye.
Fandomly Speaking.
Bye. We're going to get better at ending things, really. We are. We're going to get an outro eventually.